I am now officially an AWS certified generative AI developer professional. Woohoo! Yes! I'm also one of the first 5,000 people globally in the whole world that passed this certification, which means that I got the early adopter badge as well. Yay! So in this video, I will first tell you what led me to take the exam, which will not be very unknown if you've been following me in this channel, but a recap of that. I will tell you the details of my exam experience and the study materials that I used and that I recommend to pass this certification. And as a bonus, I will offer the Anki flashcards that I created for this certification at the very end. So one thing I want to also say is that I held 4 certifications before I attempted this exam, and those are the AI practitioner, the cloud practitioner, the solutions architect associate, and the machine learning engineer associate. And I really recommend that you get all of these 4 preferably before you even attempt this certification, because it will make your life much easier. If you don't take them, at least cover the materials and cover them well, because they're going to be gold in order to prepare for the certification. Now, I have made other videos about the certification before, and starting with the moment that AWS announced this brand new certification, which is quite recent. And back then I was honestly quite skeptical whether it was worth it to take this certification or not. However, I then did the free sampler from Tutorials Dojo for the certification, which came out even before the official exam guide. Since I already had the 4 certifications that I have previously mentioned, it felt actually very doable. Of course, the free sampler that they released turned out to be a bit easier than the actual exam, but it gave me a boost of confidence that I could definitely tackle this certification. And once the beta actually released back in December, I decided that yes, I wanted to go for the certification and that I would attempt it in January after the Christmas vacation. I have been extra motivated to take the exam earlier in January than later, because I started a new job mid-January and I wanted to get it done before starting at a new place, at a new company, at a new project. And I also wanted that shiny early adopter badge that AWS is giving to only the first 5,000 people who pass the cert. I didn't have a lot of time to prep during Christmas vacation, but I figured that it could be just enough if I made an effort. So how was my exam experience? Well, honestly, I felt a bit like this girl over here. It was quite draining, long, tough, hard, however you want to call it. It was really tough. It's one of the toughest exams that I have ever taken. And it was 85 long-winded questions, and you had 4 hours to complete this. I had the ESL 30 minutes extension for not being an English native speaker. And of course, this is the beta. If you take the exam once it goes general access, it will be a less amount of questions, but also a less amount of time. It does amount to 2 to 3 minutes per question, and that is actually not a long time, because you usually can take 1 minute or 1 minute and a half to read through the question and the possible answers and then take a decision. So often I found myself that I took a bit longer in some questions, and when I was checking the time, I was like, okay, I need to try to answer a bit faster, and I would skim read some of the questions or some of the answers, especially if I had an intuition that those were not correct, so in order to save time. And I did not have any spare minute in the exam, so 4 long hours, and I used up to the very last minute to answer all 85 questions. It was super draining. This exam tests both your deep AI knowledge, but as well your stamina, your endurance, your perseverance, your patience, whatever you want to call it. And I always go to a test center for AWS certification exams. I always recommend it, but in this particular case, in 4 hours, I would not be able to do this exam if I couldn't have a toilet break or drink some water in between. So definitely go to a test center if possible, because otherwise you don't get toilet breaks, drinking water, and I don't know how anyone can actually go through all of that. As to the exam topics that were covered, learn these 3 topics really well. So RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, Bedrock Knowledge Bases or Vector Stores, and Bedrock Guardrails. There are tons of questions that have to do with these topics, and you should know them inside and out. It's also really important that you have security notions and how you log and how you audit all the AI systems. Lots of questions either directly or indirectly as you knowledge about this. So how do you log the metrics of a foundation model? How do you log the reasoning behind a model when it's trying to infer an answer? How do you log the API calls of people that try to access, or people or systems that try to access a Bedrock FM? All of that, you need to know it very well. Surprisingly, or at least for me surprisingly, the agentic AI part of the exam featured only lightly. So Strands Agents and Bedrock Agent Core, they're really cool products in my mind, but they didn't feature very much. They did appear in some questions, but it's not like you need to know them inside and out, I guess. But I mean, you should still learn them because they're really cool products, and maybe in the future, once they start to be used more, and they are less recent because they're quite recent still, they might feature more in the future. So do check out if you're watching this video in the future. And something that I did notice was that Amazon Kendra more than Amazon Lex, but they appeared occasionally as possible answers to questions, and it turned out that they were almost always distractors. I think they were always distractors in my case. These products, they predate the modern generative AI systems, and they are nowadays very niche for what they do, and most of their use cases have been replaced with other more modern products. So just 2 cents over there, that if the answer contains Kendra or Lex, you probably don't want to select that, but of course there might be exceptions. Once the exam was over, I felt like it could go either way. I was completely drained, and I said like, yeah, I can pass, but maybe I can also fail. And what a feeling of joy, of overpowering completion, and that feeling that everything was worth it, when at the end of that same day I received the email from Credly with the congratulations, you earned a new badge. And I went to sleep, but the next day I checked the actual score and I scored 760. Whoo! That was close, because the minimum score to pass is 750, and so I passed by the tip of a hair, as you could say. Of course, the pass is a pass, and I did prep quite tightly with not a lot of time. I would have liked to have extra time to prepare, but I'm really happy that it did go on my first try. Okay, so as to the study materials that I used, the most important resource in my preparation was undoubtedly the Udemy course by Frank Kane for this certification, which has been released already, and it has been a lifesaver in my case. I had already taken Kane's course for the Machine Learning Associate certification, and I already felt quite comfortable with his teaching style. He's been the first well-known third-party instructor to publish a course for this cert. And in my opinion, it's a bit unfortunate that the course consists of recycled materials from previous certs plus the new lectures from Frank Kane, without clearly distinguishing between the two. The rule of thumb is, if you can see Frank Kane's face on the top right corner of the screen, then that's probably a new lecture that has been created for this exam. Otherwise, it's a recycled lecture from another certification, which is fair. Those lectures should also be there for students that don't remember or haven't taken the previous certifications. But in my mind, it was a bit annoying that I had to sort out through those. You should take those lectures only if you don't know enough about the topic already. But if you have the Solutions Architect Associate and the Machine Learning Engineer Associate certifications fresh in your mind, then you probably don't need to do it. And by the way, I had those certifications fresh in my mind because even though I took them months ago, I have been regularly reviewing my Anki flashcards on those certifications, and so they are in my memory for the long term, and I suggest people to do the same. I don't want to just take an exam in order to forget things immediately after. And you should also build projects, not just do theory. You should put the theory that you have gained into practice and build stuff in AWS. So here we have an example of a lecture that was created anew for this exam by Frank Kane, and we can see his face here on the top right corner. This is, by the way, one of the sample videos that you can watch even for free in Udemy. Like, you don't need to buy the whole course in order to watch some of the lectures. So it can be useful to try this out if you don't want to fully commit to buy the course beforehand. But all I can say is I really fully recommend Frank Kane's course. So with this course, just as I have done with previous certifications, I took notes and created flashcards from the lectures. until I started to run out of time. My prep time was quite short, so once that I saw that I was running out of time, what I did, I just took handwritten notes very fast from the lectures and tried to cover all the necessary material, all the knowledge gaps that I still had, and then the remaining time I used for practice exams. The other real alternative to Kane's course, at least at this stage, maybe when you watch this video later there are more courses, but right now it's the AWS Skill Builder official exam prep course that they have released. I gave it a try. I had not used Skill Builder before, and I think the labs and the hands-on parts of this course are pretty cool. If you have time, you get to learn quite a lot from them. But the theory part or the text part, honestly, it was very jarring. I didn't like it at all. It's all AI generated, both the text and the videos, and it really puts me off. Besides, it's not that helpful. Like, it's mostly like, make sure that you understand how Service X does Y. And I'm like, okay, but what does Service X do generally? Like, how does it all fit together? I will say that I did like the real world scenarios that they put out, and like how things should be tuned in order to maximize or optimize according to specifications. But maybe my suggestion is first go through Frank Kane's course, and if you have time, you can also do the AWS Skill Builder course to solidify many of those concepts and to see how the different components integrate with each other and how to optimize AI systems. That could be a good way. And as I said, getting hands-on and doing projects is always a good idea. Now, I barely had one whole day left in order to do practice exams before the actual exam. I really suggest that you reserve more time than I did. But I did go to Tutorials Dojo and I bought the official practice exams. Tutorials Dojo is the golden standard for AWS certifications, mock exams or practice exams. And I didn't have time to go through all the questions, but I did the first 30 questions from the first set. And I did them in review mode, since I knew I didn't have time to do a whole exam and do it in time mode. I did it in review mode so that I could also get some feedback on how I was doing in those questions. And I also did the 20 questions that are available for free in AWS Skill Builder. Also highly recommend to do the practice exams in Skill Builder, both the 20 free practice questions, as well as the subscription if you want to pay for that and you get a whole exam. Those, I think, are the ones that most similarly mimic what is the actual exam and the difficulty and what you can expect. Even though I didn't do a full practice exam this time around, just the little exposure I had that day that I did some practice exam questions was vital in order for me to fine-tune what I was still missing and to prepare for the exam. I have of course done other AWS certifications before, so I am familiar with how AWS structures and presents its exams. If you don't have a lot of practice with this, please do quite a bit more practice exams than I did. But if, like me, you're already a veteran in the certifications area, you might skimp a bit more if you want. So in summary, what are my recommended study materials to pass the certification? First and foremost, Frank Kane's course in Udemy. Optionally, the AWS Skill Builder course. You can do that after the course in Udemy. Practice exams by Tutorials Dojo. I shouldn't have to say this on a professional level certification, but do avoid exam dumps. They are not going to help you and you shouldn't use them. And I also highly recommend the AWS Skill Builder practice exams, both the free and or the subscription exams. And of course, I will also recommend my notes and Anki flashcards for this certification. Depending on when you watch this video, they might already be available or just an early version of them. So wrapping up, achieving this brand new AWS certification has been no easy feat, especially with the time that I allotted myself for preparation and with the allotted time during the actual exam. But I truly enjoyed refining my AI skills and going deeper into RAG, vector stores, agentic AI, and guardrails and security. Learning about responsible and secure deployments at scale also felt very, very relevant to real-world scenarios. I already have some experience, not in AWS per se AI systems, but in other vendor systems, and many of the AI concepts overlap. This certification complemented well my real-world project experience in AI projects, and passing the exam was also a great dopamine hit and a boost of self-confidence. Let's not deny that. I am releasing the Anki flashcards that I have made for this certification as an early product in my coffee shop right now. They will initially be at a discounted price, but I am aiming to refine and polish my study notes and add new flashcards over the coming weeks, at which point I will release Notion notes, PDF notes, and comprehensive Anki flashcards for this certification. This will meet the standards of the study materials I already have in offering for my previous 4 AWS certifications. I heavily encourage, once again, anyone to take these cert exams before attempting the professional level Generative AI Developer Professional certification. They will be good milestones, plus you need a good foundation of AI ML and a good foundation of AWS anyway if you are attempting this exam. Use my materials if they can be useful to you, and they are all available in my website. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to tell me and the YouTube algorithm that you like this kind of content, and good luck in your future endeavors, especially if you're going to attempt this certification. Good luck. If you would like to check out the previous videos that I have made for this certification and get more details on the path that took me over here, here is the playlist that I created, and you can find all of those videos in my YouTube channel. See you next time, and good luck on this certification.